But today, I'm going to be talking to you about a little something right here. I'm going to be preaching to you about a little something right here. I'm preaching to you not about a man, but about a woman. Not just any woman, a specific Canaanite woman from Jericho named Rahab. We're going to look at her past, how she changed, and her future. Throughout all of that, specifically, her faithfulness. Her faith to believe, her faith to trust, and her faith to dream. Which brings me to the title of today's lesson, Dare to Dream. Dare to dream. What does it mean to dream? Well, to dream is to believe. To believe is to trust and have faith. It's an ongoing circle. It's like a recycling bin right there. You start here, and you end up keep going like that in order to get your dream. But to get to the good parts of Rahab's story, we must start from the beginning. Let's look at her lore. Hebrews 11, verse 31, it reads, By faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. So Rahab, for some context here, Rahab was a prostitute, and we don't know how she ended up that way, or even what made it come to this, but I am sure it was not the life that she dreamed of. It was not the life that she wanted. And many people, if not all people, come to a point in their own personal life, and they ask themselves, what went wrong? What happened to me? How did I get here? And maybe today you are also wondering, how did I get here? Maybe it was the bus. Maybe the trains were on strike. Or maybe God has brought you to this place for a specific purpose. It's for change. We're going to be looking at Rahab's change. James 2, verse 25, it reads, amen. It reads, In the same way, was not even Rahab the prostitute considered righteous for what she did when she gave lodging to the spies and sent them off in a different direction? See, Rahab never gave up on her dream of living a different life. A life of doing what is right by God. A life of being righteous. And you have to understand how difficult that would have been to keep hold of this dream of a righteous, godly life as a prostitute. But what about you? What dreams did you have? What dreams did you give up on? Since when did other people's opinions matter so much that it killed your dreams? You know, God is special. God is real. God is alive. God wants us to reignite the fire and live our deepest hidden dreams.
Preach it.
Psalms 37, verse 3 to 4, it reads, Trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. So you see, there was a change at some point. Let's see what her future looked like, a little bit of that, and her legacy. Matthew chapter 1, verse 5 to 6 in the New Testament says, Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed, the father of Jesse, and Jesse, the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon, whose mother had been Uriah's wife. So Rahab went on to be different. She went on to be married and was deeply loved by an incredible spiritual man, Salmon, who looked not at Rahab's past, not at what she had done, but he was so focused on her heart. Some people believe that this was one of the spies. She became the mother of an incredibly kind-hearted and spiritual son, Boaz, the husband of Ruth. She became the great-grandmother of King David, who was able to write the Psalms. What incredible life does God have in store for you? Jeremiah 29:11 reads, For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. See, in Hebrews 11, there's this thing they quote as the Hall of Fame, or the heroes of the faith. There were 16 people mentioned, and only 2 women were mentioned, Sarah and Rahab. And Jesus, who everyone talks about, who everyone loves Jesus, is a descendant of both these incredible, faithful women. So let's go through her story in depth, break down what we need to learn for ourselves, and how we can too dare to dream. Point number 1, seize the moment. Seize the moment. Today is the day. Don't wait for tomorrow. Today's the day. Joshua 2, verse 1 to 7, it reads, Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. The king of Jericho was told, Look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab. Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land. But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. She said, Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly, you may catch up with them. But she had finessed them right there. But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. So the men set out in pursuit of the spies on the road that leads to the fords of the Jordan. And as soon as the pursuers had gone out, the gate was shut. So here, Rahab, she was not really looking for anything. She wasn't even looking for an opportunity to join the Israelites. But when that moment came, she seized it. You know, sometimes in life, you see something happen, you see something come, and somebody else might miss out on that. Might even miss that moment. You just have to take it. I think of some examples. I think of our dear brother Emmanuel in our church, sister church in Sydney. He had to move to a different house, and he had an incredible house, fully furnished, everything was great. And he moved into a new house, closer to the uni, and there was nothing in there, no furniture, nothing in the house. It was a bit kind of sad. He was very discouraged by that. And he said, I could buy furniture. I could buy new furniture. I could go to IKEA. Or is this a moment? So he proceeded to go on the Gumtrees, the Facebook marketplaces, and he found a free TV cabinet, free coffee table, and the list goes on and on. And that man loves coffee, I'm telling you right now. That man loves coffee. But he saw the moment, and he took it. He seized it. I also think of one of the guys out here today, Jordan, right there. Whenever there is a conversation about health, lifestyle, habits, Jordan seizes the moment. You know, we had a Bible talk on Friday, and I asked people, what is your current goal? What is your focus right now? And somebody answered, I want to lose fat and gain muscle. And I could see Jordan's body just shift in real time. And he was like, you want to what? Okay. Let me remember that right there. Let me remember that. So afterwards, we were like talking to a lot of the people that came out, and we're like, yeah, your day's cool, yeah. And I was just watching Jordan. Jordan's like, yeah, that's cool. And he slowly shifted. And then while everyone else is just hanging out dancing, he moves over, he goes, so, I heard what you were talking about like earlier. I heard what you were talking about like 45 minutes ago. And
45 minutes ago is great.
But what did you mean by losing this and gaining this? Like, what is your plan? How are you going to do this? And Jordan realized the moment was there, and he seized it. Do you seize the moment as it comes? Or do you watch it slowly fade away? And there's so many moments that God gives us. So many special opportunities that God gives us. And He gives us specifically to seek Him. He puts certain people in our lives. There might be some crazy people right there. Moves us to new jobs, cities, and even countries to get us to meet new people who will invite us to church, study the Bible out, and become a true Christian. But we must seize the moment. I think of Gideon. Gideon was invited by a friend of a brother that was invited by Owick. So it's one of the stories where you're like, Gideon was invited by his sons, daughters, cats, dogs, and all that stuff right there. But a lot of people were invited out at that time. There's like 5 or 6 guys. But Gideon was the only one that chose to seize the moment. He saw these other guys, they're not going to do it. Why don't I do it? If these guys aren't going to seize the moment, I need to seize this moment. I think of some of the siblings in the church. I think of Stephen. Isaac and Christine's younger brother. He's the youngest of 12 children. And out of all the siblings to study the Bible out of all of them to become a Christian, it was the 17-year-old League of Legends gamer with a broken wrist at that time, the broken hand right there. God uses different people in your life to really help you come closer to Him. Isaac and Christine really had to seize the moment. I think of Sifa. So, you know, some more family members right there. When Sifa first came around, she was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this is my vibe. And at that time, I think Cynthia was probably like, yeah, she probably loved it. You know, she keeps coming out. But as time went on, Cynthia prayed. She had the faith, and she seized the moment. Then Sifa got baptized and is now a full-time disciple of Christ right there. But Sifa and Cynthia had to seize the moment. Maybe your moment is there. Maybe it's right here. Maybe it's right now. It's time to seize the moment. What will stop you from seizing the moment? From dreaming? What will stop you from having vision in your life? Proverbs 29, verse 18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keep the law, happy is he. As a wise man once said, look, if you have one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or let it slip? And then something along the lines of mum spaghetti and stuff like that. But back to Rahab. Back to Rahab right here. In the passage earlier, Rahab took a big risk in hiding the men and going against her earthly ruler's command to hand over the spies. But why? Why did she do this? Well, it wasn't fear. She wasn't scared of these people. It was faith. What is faith? Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. But was that enough? Was it enough to just have faith, have a little bit of faith, have a little bit of confidence in God? Well, let's see. Joshua 1:7-9, it reads, be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous. You will be successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Okay, I have a little bit of faith. I want to be strong. I want to be courageous. But how can I be more faithful? What must I do to grow my faith? Well, let's see what Rahab did. Which brings me to point number 2. Faith grows when self-dependence declines. Faith grows when self-dependence declines. Don't fear man, fear God. Joshua 2, verse 8-11, it reads, before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land, and that a great fear of you have fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the 2 kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven and on the earth below. See, Rahab, she knew her future by reflecting and looking to the past. Do you know how God has worked in the people's lives in the past? Faith to change doesn't come from just vibing. It doesn't come from, I just felt to that one moment and now I'm faithful. Faith to change comes from knowing the Bible. Romans 10:17. Consequently, faith comes from hearing the message. And the message is heard through the word about Christ. If you want your faith to grow, you're not going to find it through Instagram. If you want your faith to grow, you're not going to find it doing TikToks. That's not going to make your faith grow. If you want your faith to grow, you got to read and study out the Bible for yourself. For yourself. Shout out to TikTok though. But for yourself. It also produces great fear of God. And that's what really leads us to change. Exodus 20:20. Moses said to the people, do not be afraid. God has come to test you so that the fear of God will be with you to keep you from sinning. The difference between Rahab and everyone else in her city was that she no longer trusted in herself, in her own abilities, and in a secure future. Everyone else that was in the city was still hanging on to the hope. Maybe the city walls, maybe the army could defeat God's will. Rahab knew that if greater people, greater armies than theirs have been defeated before, it was time to switch sides. What do you put your hope in today that is so stable, that is so powerful? I put hope in my friends. I put hope in my career, my company, my family, my parents. I put it in my education. I put it in my money because it's so stable. If these things worked, you would not have bankruptcy. You wouldn't have divorces. You wouldn't have suicides among the rich and educated. But everyone is equally destined to fail without God. Proverbs 3 verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. See, realistically, there are people that are more talented than you. There are people that have more money than you, unfortunately. There are people with a better education than you. You know, if you got a UQ right there. With more friends than you, with more power than you. Yet they still had and have lives that fall apart. Divorces, failed businesses, unexpected illnesses, car crashes, etc. What makes you think you can guide your life to success without God? It's pride. It's I think I know better. But my daddy told me this. I grew up like that. I'm just built like that. It's self-reliance. Joshua 2 verse 11 reads, "Now then please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death." Later on it goes, "Now the man had said to her, 'This oath you made us swear will not be binding on us unless when we enter the land, you have tied the scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. And unless you have brought your father and mother, your brother, and all your family into the house, if any of them go outside your house into the street, their blood will be on their own heads. We will not be responsible. As for those who are in the house with you, their blood will be on our head if a hand is laid on them. But if you tell them what we are doing, we will be released from the oath you made us swear.' 'Agreed,' she replied. 'Let it be as you say.'" See, Rahab, at this point, had chosen to put her faith in the power of God before she had even received a blessing, even received a promise of something in future. And that's what faith is. That's not what faith is like. That's what faith is. To give your life to God because of what He will do, as opposed to living by sight, to put your faith in Him because of what He has done. 2 Corinthians 5:7, "For we live by faith, not by sight." Rahab asked to be blessed. And we read the first part of Jeremiah 29:11 at the start of the lesson. Let's read it in its full. Jeremiah 29:11-13, it reads, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And then you will call on me, then you will come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with 15% of your heart." Whoa, that's not the Bible that I know. You seek me with all of your heart. You see, so there's a process here. Okay, that makes sense. Believe God wants you to have a great life despite the situation, despite the circumstance around you. Okay, it makes sense. Believe in God makes sense. Seek Him in prayer. Ask for Him to help, and He promises you to answer. He will answer your prayer. And then you seek Him wholeheartedly. The promise to Rahab was conditional on obeying certain commands. To not tell anyone what they were doing and to tie a scarlet cord to a window. God always expects us to obey His word in order to receive the blessings of His promises. So for you personally, what is it that's so hard about following the Bible? What is it that's holding you back from really taking God as, this is it, this is my life. I'm going to lay it before you. Just take me now. I want to be for you. I don't want to be for me anymore. For me has led me to bankruptcy. For me has led me to, oh wait, I lost my internship. For me has led me to, oh wait, I lost that job right there. That is what happens for me. But for God, anything is possible. Which brings us to the last point, point number 3. God never leaves a promise unfulfilled. God never leaves a promise unfulfilled. Not one. Not even half of one, but not one. Joshua 21, verse 45, it reads, not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled. But if he doesn't leave a promise unfulfilled, we should have the integrity to hold on to what he says. Joshua 6, 16 to 17, it reads, the seventh time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, shout, for the Lord has given you the city. The city and all that is in it are to be devoted to the Lord. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall be spared. Because she hid the spies that we sent. Integrity is such a big deal to God. He doesn't want double-minded people. Proverbs 10:9, it reads, whoever walks in integrity walks securely. But whoever takes crooked paths will be found out. You'll be exposed. Psalm 78:72. And David shepherded them with integrity of heart. With skillful hands he led them. So how could Joshua expect God to come through on his promises for him and his people if he did not have the integrity himself in the promise that his spies made to Rahab? The promise may have been unpopular to the other Israelites. There may have been discussion over Rahab's past. Or did the spies even have the authority to make such a promise to a non-Israelite? We must never justify our way out of having integrity. In our promises to God, in our promises to people, in our vows and any other commitments. You know, sometimes you say, hey bro, hey sis, hey mom, hey dad, I'll be there at 9 a.m. And sometimes you're not there. Sometimes you get there at 9:01. Sometimes you shoot for a 9:05 and you're like, oh, the buses, the trains, the Ubers. Sometimes you just don't show up. God takes that seriously. God sees that as a lack of integrity. He sees lack of integrity as a serious thing. So don't just shrug it off, because that's going to reflect on your relationship with God. Your integrity is what reflects your relationship with God and God's people. Deuteronomy 23:21 to 23 reads, if you make a vow to the Lord your God, do not be slow to pay it. For the Lord your God will certainly demand it of you, and you will be guilty of sin. But if you refrain from making a vow, you will not be guilty. Whatever your lips utter, you must be sure to do. Because you made your vow freely to the Lord your God with your own mouth. This is from you. You said that you would do that. You said that you'll set it up. You said that you'll fix it. If you don't fix it, that's not on anybody else but you. Take ownership. Have integrity. You know, your loyalty to God is the only way to save your friends, to save your loved ones, to save your family, and to save yourself. Joshua 6:22 to 25. Joshua said to the two men who had spied out the land, go into the prostitute's house and bring her out, and all who belong to her, in accordance with your oath to her. So the young men who had done the spying went in and brought out Rahab, her father and her mother, her brothers and sisters, and all who belonged to her. They brought out her entire family and put them in a place outside the camp of Israel. Then they burned the whole city and everything in it. But they put the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron into the treasury of the Lord's house. But Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute with her family and all who belonged to her, because she hid the man Joshua had sent as spies to Jericho. And she lives among the Israelites to this day. So Rahab's brave decision to go against her ruler, her culture, her peers, her countrymen, saved her life and saved her families. Today we have to give up our national culture, our family culture, to take up our godly culture. We have to be Christian, a Christian nation, a Christian culture. So putting God above anything and everything, even family. To putting spiritual ambition over worldly ambition. To putting God's kingdom first above building your own kingdom. Where are you at today? What is the thing holding you back from having integrity with God? What is the sin that you didn't want to confess to the brother or sister? What is stopping you from becoming a disciple right here, right now, from seizing that time? In conclusion, the title is Dare to Dream. Point number 1, seize the moment. Rahab was not really looking for an opportunity, but when the moment came, she took it. She seized it. We seize that moment today. Point number 2, faith grows when self-dependence declines. Rahab no longer trusted in herself, but she trusted in that God will figure it out. What are you depending on today that is not God? Point number 3, God never leaves a promise unfulfilled. Your loyalty to God is the only thing that can really help save your friends, your family, your loved ones, and also yourself. Because it's up to you. So if somebody asks you, what is your dream? What is your plan for your life? What does the next 5 years look for you? Don't sit down insecurely and give them a false answer. Do you just say, to be honest, I don't have one right now? What dreams have you given up on? And if you're a disciple, if we don't have dreams, that kills everyone around us. As soon as you stop dreaming, you die spiritually. You know, and what is your dream? What is the dream that you've given up on? Maybe it's marriage. Maybe it's dream job. Maybe it's bigger than that. Maybe it's save the world. Maybe it's your family. Maybe save yourself. You must believe. You must have faith to dream. You must dare to dream. Not because you can do it, but because God will do it. Because God will work through you to do it. And has always done it for those who have dared to dream. With that, God be all the glory. Amen.